Hey, welcome back to Evil's Comics. I'm Evil Mike. This is going to be my part 3 to the new comics that were released this past week on September 15, 2021. Got to get straight into it. This is Titans United, 1 out of 7. The book jumps straight into it. First page, we are on a stroll, with Evan and his family. We are meeting Evan for the first time. It looks like his wife or Carol, or his girlfriend, Carol, with their kid. And the little boy mentions something about Superman, and instantly we see Evan, start having headaches and complaining about pain. We start seeing, from his eyes and his mouth that he starts bleeding. And then shortly after, he starts displaying Superman's, laser eyes. Destruction ensues. Of course, there's people around. So somehow the Teen Titans show up to, protect everybody around and figure out what's going on. They do approach Evan in a peaceful kind of manner, trying to figure out if he's doing this on purpose or if it's something else. So they don't just go in there fighting. They do use some of their tactics, like right here, Donna Troy. She kind of used her shield to deflect the the laser eyes, and they keep asking him to shut his eyes. He does for like a second, and he says it hurts too much, and then he does open them up again. They do kind of like distract him, and Raven kind of sneaks in and tries to, kind of put him to sleep so they can figure out what's going on. And as she does this, when she touches him, he turns into like, the gorilla form, but of the appearance looking like Beast Boy. Instantly, shoving her off, and then kind of going into it. Beast Boy getting mad that he struck Raven, of course, going after him and turning into a lion. As they are tussling, he then, Evan, he ends up switching his powers again, and he's using like Starfire, Star Blast, like they show it here at the very bottom. And the Titans at this point, they're like, okay, hold on, he just used like 3 of our powers. How is he doing this? Gar barely being able to hold on for his life, like Raven having to literally heal him on the battlefield because he almost died from taking the hit. Eventually, during all this, they have been doing crowd control, and Superboy has been kind of like flying around trying to help people. Somewhere in the process of this, like as he's helping these innocent people, he starts losing his powers and ends up needing to get saved by Red Hood. And we don't really have an explanation there. He does he kind of questions it real quick. We do have Beast Boy, now that he's healed, back in action, and he does turn into this big pterodactyl. At the other guy starts learning how to turn into animals, and he does turn into this rhino, trying to cause more havoc, but he hasn't figured out how to fly, and they all mention that it's like a blessing. Red Hood at this time kind of switches up his bullets from his rubber encased bullets, and now he wants to go full lethal, and they kind of all trip that he's gonna do this, but they're like, hey man, this guy's just growing as a threat. As you can see right here, he's not really able to control it. This guy doesn't know what's going on as far as we know. And what he's displaying is he doesn't know what's going on. So you can see right here, he's kind of changing through all their powers, and eventually he gets to the point where he's like so stressed out. And Starfire has been trying to like slowly calm him down, but with everything else going on, it's kind of like in the background. But we do see that he does reach a limit, and it seems like he's going supernova. It's like being charged with Superboy's Eye Blast and Starfire's Star Blast. It looks like he's about to go nuclear, and they do mention that. And even Starfire's like he's getting, the way he's increasing, he is going to go nuclear. And at this point, it's all about, saving the citizens around him. Raven does try to do the whole, touch him and go to sleep thing, and this time it does not work, and it ends up burning her hands. Eventually we do see that Connor, he does, he grabs this guy Evan, and he does fly him up into the clouds. trying to get him as far away from, everybody. And they show that he makes it a good distance before the guy finally does go nuclear. And he does. Eventually, they do show Connor falling. They don't ever show the other guy, and I'm gonna have to assume that he met an untimely end. But they do recover Connor, and it does look like, at the moment that he was out for the count, it has a very a 90s feel, if you would, to another storyline. But they do kind of they show us that they were able to heal Connor and kind of bring him back to health. Incidentally, he does have a broken arm, which is weird from the whole situation, and it goes back to him losing his powers. They do a little investigation about Evan, and they can't really figure out why he had the powers, because nothing really comes up on his background search kind of thing. While they're doing that, the other Teen Titans, they kind of show this where Red Hood and Connor and Gar are having this conversation outside, and Connor is being criticized from Red Hood about not using his full powers and his full potential and stuff like that. That he could have saved so many more people, but because he's holding back, that he's not able to do the things that he should be able to do. And he always uses Superman as the reference. And eventually, Connor, going through all this, he does snap and he punches Jason in the face, and doing so kind of proves to Jason that he is right. He's like, look bro, you could have just killed me, and you're still punching. He's like, I didn't even feel that. He was like, that means you're punching less than a normal human. He was like, what's up, man? And all of a sudden the Teen Titans go into alert mode. They start getting an express beacon, and they get a call from Hawk, and Hawk tells them that Hawk and Dove are in trouble, and from none other than Kite Man. It seems like Kite Man has some kind of crazy new powers, and for some reason Hawk and Dove cannot handle this C-lister villain. But that is where the issue ends, so we're going to have to see what's coming. Next up, we got Rorschach. Number 12 of the series is the last issue in the series. I think it was let's see, Tom King, Jorge Fornes. I'm bad with names, guys, don't kill me. Alright, so this overall, it was basically set up where a Rorschach looking character and a new, he had a sidekick, like cowboy girl or cowgirl lass or something like that. But they basically try and assassinate this senator while he's wearing this Rorschach getup, and it's not the real Rorschach. Of course he might have died, and I said might. At the end of Watchmen, they do get in discussing that there is a concept that Dr. Manhattan did not kill Rorschach at the end of that he really displaced his particles, and now other people are able to become, basically his soul goes into somebody else. And that's kind of what the series is. Those two people in the beginning were supposed to be like representations of his soul, and they were just doing the work of this passed away hero. As the story goes, it's just done by an investigator, as we have here, and he has been following the story, and as he's been following the story, that at the last issue, we do see that him himself kind of gets on board with what they were doing, and literally he becomes the new version of Rorschach. Now, everybody around them, they don't really know this, and right now he's going to this Senator Turley to present the evidence of the whole case and tell him what was going on. They are greeted here by this security detail, and basically tell him that the only thing he has is a recording that he's going to play for the senator. And the senator basically saying, he told the security detail that no recordings were allowed, so there's this little back and forth, but eventually it is okayed and allowed through. They do go here, which I will, reference the Watchmen smiley face, but all three get in here, and it's basically the scene where Senator Turley is so busy and he's going through everything. He also has a report of everything that the detective is about to give him, and he's kind of going back and forth, but he's like, man, I just got no time, man, I wish I had more time, I gotta do all this stuff, oh, excuse me, gentlemen, I need more time. And it's kind of like it spans over, like, I want to say an hour of everybody, just the other two, the detective and his representative, and then the senator, just kind of they're waiting for the senator to get done. There's a little back and forth conversation between the representative and the detective, and as this is going on, certain things the detective is doing. He does ask right here if he can put his if he could get more comfortable and take his coat off, and he does do that. He does ask if he can kind of set up at this other table over here, and eventually he does set up the tape recorder and some files and stuff like that on a separate table, kind of away from the senator, so he's not disturbing the senator. And the representative at one point goes and gets some drinks, bring back some beer. And like I said, a lot of this is we're just waiting for the senator to get doing with his daily senator work before he can finally get to the detective and stuff. But there is a reason that all this is in the comic, because like I mentioned, like the guy putting on the jacket, him setting up at the table, it does have meaning later on. But eventually, the senator does get done doing what he's doing, and he does walk over and sit with the other two gentlemen, and he starts listening to the story. And basically, he kind of lays it out to him. He plays the tape recorder, he presses play on the tape recorder, and it is a speech from one of the earlier, actually from the first speech, that he was at the attempted assassination. And basically at this point, he kind of lays out that because the senator is like, well, I have this file over here that states all this, and the detective tells him, well, you don't have this diary, you don't have, this part of the, you don't have this person, testimony, stuff like that. And the senator's like, yeah, okay, so lay it out for me and stuff. And so he kind of fast forwards for a second and plays or maybe rewinds, they don't go into that. But he does play some more of the election thing, and his speech that the senator gave from before, and then he kind of goes into his whole details, and he starts at the beginning about how the whole assassinated attempt went down, how Redford's party was the one behind the whole stick, but we basically kind of get this right here where he's, what I told you, he was rewinding and pressing the tape. And right here, if you'll notice, there's two different like word phrases that pop up, and it's like a schlick schlick, it's or maybe a slash slish, because on this next page they were checked for weapons and everything else, as they thought, but I think they were checking for guns, because it looks like our reporter friend continuing on with doing his Rorschach job, but he did slice the throats of both the gentlemen there while they were listening to the tape. Doing so prevented being heard from the outside, because there is security detail right outside, his own little version of Secret Service. So we do see that the detective, while he does leave the reporting playing and continues to clean up, he leaves the two guys as they are, wipes off his jacket as best he can. Then he goes over to his jacket that he hung up that is perfectly clean, and he puts that on, and then he basically walks out while the speech is going on. And if you read it and see what the speech is about, it has a rather meaningful part on what's going on. It was of course edited that way. But he is approached on the outside by this the same security detail as he was entering, and finds it odd that he's leaving alone and not with his partner. And the detective tells the security detail that basically the two men, the senator and the other guy, are inside and they're practicing for his upcoming rally, which is the next day. The security detail does open the door, and as he opens the door, he does hear the speech and assumes it is the two guys practicing their speech and everything. It was all part of the plan. We do see our detective friend just walk out casually, kind of get in his car and drive away. Mission completed, kind of. They do show some other things that as he's leaving, he does pass the theater and Pontus Pirate, is playing, and he does go in and enjoy like a movie, and that's kind of where the end of the comic ends, with just him watching this movie, and he's listening to what this pirate is saying, and what the pirate is saying about his life, and it kind of has meaning to the story. But overall, by the end of the story, it was a great story. It's one that I really want to go back and read from start to finish, just because of how long it was kind of took to complete the story. Really good. Justice League number 67, and one of the reasons this is broken into multiple parts, because this does have a side story, the Justice League Dark ongoing side story. But we are still in the midst of the battle with Simnar, something like that, Simnar, we're just going to go with that. And the Justice League have been battling this new threat that just showed up. At the same time, they are kind of going off of what happened with Black Canary, Green Arrow, and this new guy that they showed, which he goes by Damian Rose, but we find out that it's just a handle, that he is like a long lost brother to Lois Lane. His real name being Leonardo Lane, or Leonard for those of you. No, I'm just playing. So we do see that Lois Lane is kind of reaching out to him, that she does know about this brother, that her father, the colonel or whatever, that he kept it under wraps for whatever reason. But Lois Lane is reaching out to him, asking him if he had anything to do with the Justice League burning down, and he, with checkmate and all that kind of good stuff, because he's a part of the secret, spy stuff involved in DC. But he basically tells her no, and she kind of hangs up, and he's like, wait a minute, the Justice League is burning, and he turns on the news, and he kind of sees this, and we see all of our the main Justice Leaguers, current Justice Leaguers fighting Simnar, and they're not doing that great of a job. And the reason being is that every time they hit him with any kind of powered up attack, he kind of absorbs it, and it just adds on to his stuff. That they have kind of been mentioning this the whole time. Batman kind of figured it early on, and he shouted it to some of the people, and they're not just grasping the concept. I think at this point, Superman is the only one that is in the knowledgeable on who Simnar is and what his powers are. But recently we did see this like intergalactic group show up. I'm drawing a blank at their names, but they kind of get intros. Like this guy named is Hawkslayer, and they get Prince Zephyr, and basically it's just them fighting and trying to either contain this guy or knock him off the planet, or death isn't out of the equation either. But it doesn't really, and there's some other appearances from this new group, and they kind of give a little description of who they are, why they're in that group. But they do eventually manage to contain him to like a certain degree, as shown in the pictures, but like only for a fraction of a second. And it's kind of how they do it, because there's power laced with what they're trying to encase him with, and the second they encase him, it's like second, and then he absorbs it, and it's back to and a lot of these people are just not picking up that that's how this guy works. Batman, on the other hand, is like underground, and he's already like mentioned to the group that he is going for this weapon, that he is waited and exhausted all other means, and Batman's just, nope, it's time. We do meet this girl over here, and her name is Divino of Daxium, and she is the leader of that group. It is like the United Order, I think, the United Order of something, I can't remember. But even her, the order of this group, and she does, most of the order of that group, they are powered up, strong members, and they do kind of briefly do damage to this guy. So I would say they're all maybe at Justice League standards. But eventually Batman does get tired, and he comes back up with this weapon, and we see what it is, and it is the Phantom Zone teleporter, and he basically zaps Simnar to the Phantom Zone. Batman's had enough, and he's like, look, we gave you chances, we asked you to stand down. He didn't want to do all that. So it's just this conversation with Simnar, with Superman, inside the Phantom Zone. explaining that, man, we tried everything, you don't want to listen, and guess what? Now this is your home. And Superman kind of apologizes, and Simnar instantly tries to kill him. I mean, we know it's a projection. But from that point on, it's kind of like this morality thing that Batman used the projector to send Simnar to that other place, and Superman not really agreeing with it. At the same time, this United Order or whatever they are, this intergalactic group, they saw this projector and they don't believe it should be in anybody's hands, so now they are ordering it to be confiscated for this intergalactic, police group. And the Justice League is like, wait, that's a gift from Superman's father, man. We can't just give it over, and they're like, yeah, you're gonna have to give it over by order of the Galactic and Justice League are like, over, who says? So it looks like we might be getting a fight from the two teams. And at the very end, we do see that Damian Rose is not perfectly safe, and a group of Deathstroke wearing costume people are showing up to attack him. The side story with Justice League Dark is basically, Merlin has made it to the bottom of Atlantis to go after this magic that is down there, and the whole beginning of this is about magic in where it came from, and supposedly in the DC universe it came from Atlantis or below Atlantis. We get to see what he is after, this and I think they call it the Dark World that is below Atlantis. Constantine having this conversation about like why he needs this now, and Merlin answering that simply it's about purpose, that he has had the time, and and he could have done this before, but he just didn't have the right everything lined up to do this. We do see that he has raised some kind of undead Atlantis army, to fend off all the heroes that are trying to, break that huge monster from breaking into Atlantis, from getting the Dark World. And eventually we do see that Aquaman is like no times for thoughts, he brings everything he's got. Eventually Merlin does he's got Constantine in his grasp, but Constantine's not really worried. But at the same time, we do see that somebody shows up to assist him at the nick of time, and she is pissed because she got her hands on John, you know what I'm saying? I mean, John's her dude, you don't fuck with her dude. And that's kind of where this issue leaves us off at. I can say the side story is by Ram V, and it is just amazing, and the art, I can't wait for this series to start over again. That's my reviews. Like, comment, subscribe, shout me out, comment down below. I'll see y'all later, guys. Bye.